Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Football Overseas YouTube channel, and welcome to another round of Championship predictions. And I hope you're all enjoying the start of the holiday period in this Christmas week. Of course, at the end of the Christmas week, Boxing Day, we have the next round of Championship games to look forward to. And this year, I think unusually, the Championship has centre stage. There's just the one Premiership game, and that's after all the games are done in the Championship. So it's away. It's Manchester United and Newcastle. I think it is 8 o'clock in the evening. By then, the Championship will have had its moment in the sun, shall we say? What happened the weekend? Just to quickly look back on, Coventry are having a very merry Christmas indeed. They're now 11 points clear of the third place team, all on equal matches, which is always what I like to see. 22 games played. We're going into game week 23. Halfway house already. Halfway stage. Yes, so Coventry 11 points clear of Ipswich as they drew at Southampton in a really hard-fought draw for them down there. So they'll be happy with that. They went down to 10 men as well, so they'll be definitely happy with that. And they will be, when they got back to the dressing room, they will have seen Middlesbrough failed again at Bristol City, as I sort of suggested they would, but didn't back it up, did I? I went for a Middlesbrough win. So I went against my own team, and they threw that back at me happily. So, with a 2-0 win at Ashton Gate. Middlesbrough 28 shots at goal, though, so they only got themselves to blame. It sounds like I didn't watch the game, it wasn't televised or anything, and I was out and about. But, Middlesbrough will be ruining that. And then in the playoff zone, we've got the shirt wearers this week, as I call it, are Ipswich, Hull, Preston and Millwall, with QPR, Stoke, Bristol City, Watford and the rest of the gang queuing up, waiting to pounce if those slip up. But there is that being stretched now, isn't it? At the top, it's 11 points between first and third, and then only 9 points between third and 15th. And that's typical of what happens in the Championship if a couple of teams do get on the march. And Middlesbrough have a healthy 5-point lead themselves, don't they, over Ipswich. So all looking a bit stretched and a bit positive, quite positive for Coventry and Middlesbrough at the top. We go down to the bottom. Sheffield Wednesday pluckily going along. The fans going along for the ride. It's great to see the club just operating again. We can't go on about that too much now, of course. We know what the circumstances are, but it's just great to see that the club is back on its feet in football terms. And then we've got Norwich, Oxford and Portsmouth. Now, a bit of breaking news today, which is, what day is it? I always lose track of the days. It's Tuesday, the 23rd when I'm doing this. And on this morning, the breaking news was that Oxford have parted company with Gary Rowett. Now that surprises me a bit. It was almost exactly a year ago that he took over from Des Buckingham and kept them in the division against the odds a little bit, I think. So they've gone full circle and they've ended up in the similar position again with Gary Rowett, and they've decided to pull the plug on him. I think the defeat in a critical game against Charlton was probably the final, well, obviously was the final straw, but I still think I didn't see it coming personally. I hadn't thought for a moment that Gary Rowett was under that much pressure. Yes, they haven't won, only won 1 in 10 I was reading this morning. And so I suppose that just brings pressure in itself, and when other teams have changed their managers and seen some bouncing, Norwich coming back a little bit now. I think Norwich are going to stay, but that's my personal opinion, which puts pressure on those other teams as well if that does happen. So there we are. That's the news off the press just before Christmas. Let's now look then at the Boxing Day fixtures, and we'll go through them. They're all on the Friday. I keep saying Saturday. All on the 26th. There's a couple of lunchtime games and one at 5:30. The other 9 are in the 3 o'clock kickoff, so everybody can go out, have a nice family afternoon. That's what Boxing Day is all about. Get your tickets and go and watch some good football in the I'm not sure what the weather's going to be. It's getting a bit colder, they say, but that's nice, isn't it? Nice and crisp. Get your new mittens on and your new scarf, all your other club colours that you've had for Christmas. Get them out of an airing and pop down to your local team if you can. So first up then, 12:30 is Birmingham City against Derby County. And Birmingham will be disappointed to have lost 3-0 at Sheffield United. Yes, they had a player sent off, but that's still a disappointing. Their away form, as I think I said last week's clip, does need to pick up if they're going to make any impression at all. 14th at the moment. 6 points off the playoffs. It's got to start happening soon. Derby County are also in that zone. They're on just a couple of points more than Birmingham, and they'll be disappointed to have dropped points against Portsmouth, I think, although they did go a goal down, so they pulled it back, but didn't win the game. And Portsmouth have just, pluckily picked up a few points recently. We'll talk about them when we get to their match. But I think Birmingham's home record, I keep talking about it, and they only drew the last home game, I think, if I remember rightly. But I think they've got to start. This is it, really. And this is a team that they should, in and around them, that the teams you need to beat to then progress away from them. So I'm going to go Birmingham City 2, Derby County 0. And then we have Millwall, and Millwall just are the most frustrating team to predict, aren't they? You just think they're getting a grip with everything. And they went to Blackburn, who had a flaky home record, and they get beat 2-0 quite comfortably. Ipswich just moving nicely now, I think, into fourth place, or third place, check. Just, as I say, that 5-point gap to make up on Middlesbrough at the moment. They had a 3-1 win over Sheffield Wednesday. So I think they might go to Millwall and upset the locals on Boxing Day lunchtime, 1 o'clock kickoff. I'm going to take Millwall 1, Ipswich Town 2. Then we have Coventry against Swansea. As I say, Coventry will be buoyed by the fact they dropped points and still extended their lead, so they'll be happy as Larry. And they're playing Swansea, who had the Wrexham keeper was in very Christmas mood already, giving a real gifts away to the Swansea forwards. He did make a mistake in the last, or the dying minutes of the game on Friday night. He came out, I don't know if anyone's seen it, he came out of his goal, just didn't quite get to the ball, but got a bit of a punch on it, or a pat on it. It was a speculative header back in by the Swansea forward, and then sort of hit the bar, hit the keeper, and then he didn't really deal with it, and it went in off him, I think, as I recall. So it was all a bit of a, the pantomime season had begun early. So Wrexham will be disappointed with that, especially in their first derby for such a long time. So that was the Friday night fare. So Swansea going to Coventry, a difficult one, as we all know. Anyone going there is up against it at the moment. So I'm going to take Coventry just to nick it, home advantage and all of that. Coventry City 2, Swansea City 1. Now Leicester City, or QPR, they played, didn't they? And they lost 4-1. Now you just can't predict that. I didn't see that coming at all. Marty Cifuentes seemed to have rode the storm a little bit that was gathering around him, but that will have set things back, I'm sure, with the Leicester faithful. However, this is a chance. I think Watford are having a little bit of a dodgy run. They're in 10th place, 32 points. They're comfortable from, anything going on at the bottom at the moment, but they're just having a bit of a sticky ride. I think Leicester will see this as a chance to get back after last week's really poor result for them. They will get back to winning ways. Watford, having said that, did have a decent 1-0 win over Stoke. Stoke are just losing their way. They had that brilliant start, didn't they, in the top two for the first sort of 5 or 6 matches. And they're now on 33 points and going in the wrong direction, if you like, at the moment. So they need to redress that. So Watford will be perked up by that win, but I think Leicester will take the points. Leicester City 3, Watford 1. Now Middlesbrough, as I say, fell foul of their nemesis Bristol City on Saturday. I think this is a chance for them to put that wrong to right against Blackburn. As I say, Blackburn had a wonderful 2-0, or a very, not unexpected, but a very decent 2-0 win over Millwall, who are very tough to beat at times, and sometimes they just seem to roll over a little bit. It's a strange old season Millwall having, but not that strange when you're in the top 6. So I think Middlesbrough will overcome Blackburn. I think this is a chance. It'll be a tight one, because Blackburn's away record has been pretty good throughout the season. They did lose to Portsmouth last time out, but up to then they were in, as I say, in the away team table. They were 4th. So Middlesbrough 1, Blackburn 0. A tough old encounter on Boxing afternoon there. Now Norwich, who were almost out of the relegation zone, am I right in saying that? 20? No, they've been within a point of getting out of it. Have they held on to their 1-0 lead at Preston? But with the last kick of the match, just about, Preston equalised against them, having Norwich having had the lead for a good chunk of the match. So they'll be disappointed about that. Philippe Clement was not a happy man. But there's just some real signs of improvement now in Norwich. Not playing massively differently, I don't think. They're just game managing, which they couldn't do under Liam Manning for some reason. So he's got them playing perhaps a little bit more, with a little bit more organisation. I don't know what the difference is really. Norwich fans can please tell us in the comments. I'm going to go Norwich to overcome Charlton. Charlton, they had a really vital win against Oxford. That did them a power of good, lifted them, gave them breathing space from the bottom three. 8 points clear. Not they were ever in the bottom three, were they? They had a great start, which has given them a bit of credit in the bank. So I'm going to go Norwich City 2, Charlton 0 on this one. Norwich to really cement their recent recoveries. Now, interesting one here, of course. Oxford United against Southampton. Managerless Oxford. I think I saw Craig Short has become the temporary manager, promoted from within the ranks. So we'll see what he has. Not a lot to go on, I wouldn't have thought, in a couple of days up to the Boxing Day fixture. And Southampton are still looking pretty good. They had a decent draw with Coventry. They'll be disappointed not to have got the 3 points against 10 men, of course. But Coventry made a sterner stuff, as we know. So Southampton still going in the right direction generally. And I think this is a chance to get Oxford while they're perhaps a little bit unsure of themselves when the leader goes. It doesn't matter whether we don't know what was going on in-house there. As I say, it surprised me a bit anyway, but that's done and dusted. That's what they decided to do. But I think Southampton will be too good for them on the day. Oxford 1, Southampton 3. Now, this could be anything, this next match, with Queen's Park Rangers involved. Portsmouth versus Queen's Park Rangers. Which Queen's Park Rangers will come out? I wish somebody would tell me. We can have a better chance of getting their game right, their result right. So they go down to Fratton, which will be a rocking on Boxing Day. It's already sold out. I saw flash up. So it's Portsmouth against Queen's Park Rangers. And I just think Portsmouth just might have enough here. If they get an early goal, I think they really will ram it home against QPR. But QPR will be buoyed by their 4-1 home. That's not to be dismissed by any means. Excuse me. A 4-1 win over Leicester. So I'm going to go Portsmouth 2, Queen's Park Rangers 1. But anything can happen in that match. That could be 4-4. Who knows? Sheffield Wednesday, who will enjoy their Christmas more than they thought they were going to a few months ago, I'm sure, or a few weeks ago. They're home to Hull City, who are still really giving it everything against the odds, really. They are one of the teams of the season so far, just based on what they started with, with their recruitment ban and all of that. So they're still 37 points in 4th place, and they are taking on Sheffield Wednesday, so a chance maybe to add to that points tally, and I think they will. So I'm going Sheffield Wednesday 0, Hull City 2. Hull City had a tough 1-0 win over West Brom. West Brom had a player sent off, so probably couldn't really make any impression perhaps later on. Well, they did have some chances, I believe. But anyway, Hull City hung on, so I think they'll go to Sheffield Wednesday and take the points. Now, Stoke City, as I say, are just slipping in the wrong direction. So they'll need to address that balance against Preston, who are just hanging on. Well, not more than hanging on, but they're just sort of sitting in that top 6 place. They don't. They get the points and still grind out results, even if it was the 90 plus 6 minute, whatever it was, the other day. I think, yes, against Norwich, that was what I was trying to think of. Sorry about that. So I think Stoke will arrest their little slide, but it's going to be tough to beat Preston, so I'm going to take it a 1 each draw. Honours even at Christmas. Stoke City 1, Preston North End 1. 2 to go, and here we have West Bromwich Albion against Bristol City. Now, this is the flip side of what we had on Saturday. Bristol City, as far as I can remember, do not get many points at West Bromwich Albion. I can't remember the last time they won a game there. Being a fan, as I say, but my memory may be playing me tricks, but it just feels like it's one of those fixtures we almost write off at the start of the season, a bit like what Middlesbrough fans were saying on Saturday. And West Bromwich Albion will want to get back on track because they have slipped a little bit into 16th place. So comfortably 9 points clear of any trouble at the bottom, but that doesn't last too long if you keep on losing. But I think West Brom will just have enough to beat Bristol City, he says, with regretted teeth. But I think the fact that there's just the history of here getting very little from that game. But you never know, it could turn around. But I'm going to go with the form book this time. I went against the sort of fixture form book last Saturday. So I'm going to go West Bromwich Albion 2, Bristol City 1, with the hope that that's not the case. But that's my realistic prediction. And finally, the sort of later game, 5:30, Wrexham, who will want to put their last gasp defeat to Swansea very much behind them as they take on rejuvenated Sheffield United. They had that one blip, didn't they? But now 26 points they've got, and they didn't start getting points until game 7, I think it was. So they've really started to show up now. Chris Wilder's got them doing well. They've got players to come back. I was hearing a little clip from a fan. Players to come back in the January, and they might go shopping as well. So let's see what they do. Excellent 3-win over Birmingham last Saturday. So I think this will be honours even. Wrexham are tough at home, and they've got a decent record at home, picking up points. Probably not enough the wins that they really want, because they don't. As I say, their owners want to be sitting at the higher up the table. But at the moment, they're in that mid-group, 15th. But I think this will be honours even. Wrexham 1, Sheffield United 1 to close off Boxing Day. And then everybody can go back and have a few more mince pies. So there we are. As I say, I hope you're having a great holiday week. I will be back during the weekend to predict the next round of matches, which is on Monday the 29th, and they're all evening kickoffs. So we'll be previewing that. Once the Boxing Day games are out the way, I'll be back giving my thoughts on any highlights from Boxing Day. Usually some excitement, isn't there, Boxing Day? And then we'll predict the Monday games. So continue to have a lovely holiday. Stay healthy, stay safe. And please subscribe to the channel. We've had an uptick in subscriptions lately. It'd be great to carry that on from the group that watch this as well. If you haven't done so, please do so. It really is appreciated. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again very soon.